prefixes. Remember, where do you find a prefix in the term?
Beginning.
At the beginning. Remember, we go always, whenever you're reading a whole medical term, you start at the end and you go back to the beginning. There's just a few of these, and a lot of these you already know and we've already talked about. Okay, a or an means negative or without. When have you heard that before at the beginning of a word that makes it mean not? What?
Undecided.
Not un, we're talking about a or an, but same idea. Another prefix. How about asymmetrical? What does that mean?
Not symmetrical.
Not symmetrical, right? So that's something we already know. A or an, it means not. One example of this is, I was talking about earlier, cephalo means head. That's a word that was on your body project. And again means not. And so actually somebody, maybe that was in here, was talking about a show they were watching where a baby was born with anencephaly. Well, cephalo is head. Encephalo means brain. It's another word for brain. What's the other word for brain we've already learned? Cerebro. That was the first list. Anyways, so anencephaly means without a brain. I mean, it literally means with not like you just say you don't have a brain, but a baby born without a functioning, or with specific parts of their brain that are not functioning. It's called anencephaly. Anyway, so I'm going to pass this picture around. It's kind of crazy looking.
The baby die?
It's on the back. Oh yeah, they won't live, but
what's wrong with this baby?
Doesn't have a brain. I just said that.
Is the head all flat and squishy?
No,
Yeah.
they still have a brain, but it doesn't function. Like parts of it don't function. It functions enough for them to grow in utero, but it doesn't function enough for them to live outside of that. So, I mean, I don't know how often it happens, but it's probably like 1 in 200,000 or something like that. I mean, it would be very, very rare.
Okay.
But it is a birth defect that you see and hear of sometimes.
This one girl, she's going to school, her sister's baby. She was born like that.
Come on, Miranda.
Anencephaly.
Miranda King's sister's baby.
It happened. I mean, it's something that's happened. It is very rare. It's probably, there's probably things that you could do pregnant, like in the first. See, the brain is formed in the first 8 weeks of pregnancy.
What are you laughing for?
The brain is formed during the first 8 weeks of pregnancy, and the first 8 weeks of pregnancy is actually, if you really think about it.
Is this a real baby?
That the first 8 weeks of pregnancy, the person's really only been pregnant for 6 weeks.
Wait,
what? Sounds weird.
Yeah.
When they count the weeks of pregnancy, they go back to the last menstrual period. Well, you don't actually ovulate until about 2 weeks after the start of the last menstrual period. So pregnancy can't even occur until after you're already technically 2 weeks pregnant. I know that sounds really weird.
That's weird.
Yes. So actually, if somebody's 8 weeks pregnant, they've really only been pregnant for 6 weeks. That makes sense?
Why can't you say you're 6 weeks pregnant?
Well, that's just not how it's counted, because they don't count it that way. Because they can't really determine a specific date of conception, so they go back to that last menstrual period. Anyway, I know that sounds crazy, but what is really crazy about that is that the brain is formed. The brain and spinal cord, the basis of them are formed by the 8th week. So the person's only actually, again, been pregnant for 6 weeks, so it just takes 6 weeks for that period in there, that 6-week period is so important that the mama gets good nutrition, that the mama gets what she needs in her diet, and that she doesn't, that she really takes care of her body. But the thing is, most people don't even know they're pregnant until they're at least 8 weeks or longer. Sometimes people know sooner, but typically it's at least about 8 weeks before they even know. So that's why it's, take care of your body all the time, because you never know. So anyway. Anyways, a or an is negative or without. Ab means away from. So I always remember this, because if you abduct your arms, so everybody abduct your arms with me. This is abduct. It means move away. abduct, moves away. And I always think of that because if you abduct someone, you take them away, right?
Yeah.
Somebody gets abducted, they go away. So abduct is away. Add is a prefix that means towards. So always think of this. This is adducting. It's moving towards or adding it to. Move towards. Okay? Anti is against. Okay, that one you probably already know. Anti, against. Like anti-smoking or anti-whatever else you can come up with. Okay, ante, these are two again that you need to look at together. Anti is against, but ante with the E means forward. Where have we seen that before? On one of our terms that we've already learned.
What was the word?
A-N-T-E, anterior. Okay, so we see that ante means before or forward, and what does anterior mean? Front. Okay, so ante with the E, ante means forward or before. If you put front, that's fine with me too. By means two or both. We've talked about that before. Brady means slow. Brady means slow. So if I say bradycardia, what does that mean?
Slow heart.
Slow heart. It literally means that they have their heart rate or their pulse is too low. So slow heart rate, bradycardia. What if I say the word bradypnea? Tell you it splits right here. Brady means what again?
Slow.
P-N-E-A means what?
Low.
Lungs or breathing or air. But in this case, you typically think of it as breathing. So bradypnea
Breathing slow.
is slow breathing. It means they're breathing slower than normal. I'm not just talking about like, oh, you're taking in slow breaths. I mean, they're breathing lower than 12 times a minute, which is not enough to get enough oxygen to your head. Dys means painful or difficult. So if I said dyspnea, what would that mean? Painful breathing or difficult breathing. Somebody who's having an asthma attack, they would have dyspnea. Right? They're having a difficult time breathing or it's painful. Labor. Okay, dys. I think if you diss somebody, maybe it causes pain or I don't know. Dorse means back. We've already learned that one, right? We talked about dorsal.
Oh,
We already know that one.
I hate this class. It's so hard.
It's not hard. You just gotta study. Okay, endo means inside. Okay, that one's pretty simple. Endo, inside. So if I say, here's an example.
D-R-M-A-T-O.
Endo and anatomy. You learn this.
Epidemic.
Endocytosis. Osis or cis just means process. We haven't learned that one yet. But endo means what again? Inside. Cyto is cell. So this means the process of moving things into the cell.
Okay.
Make sense? Inside the cell. Now, as far as this class goes, I'll always take a literal definition. I mean, if you want to tell me that it's moving things inside the cell, I'm good with that too. But I'll always take process of into the cell or process. As far as this class goes, I'll always accept that. But endo, if you want to think of it this way, to remember, think, process in the cell. You want to think of it that way. Endo is inside. Okay.
That's the least I
Could.
Hey, it'll help you remember it. You won't forget it now.
Process in the cell.
Okay, epi means above or upon. When have we talked about epi before?
Epidemic.
Epidemic. Epi.
She said
You said epistomach, but what's the word? Epigastric.
There we go.
You had it in your head. Okay, epigastric means what?
In the stomach.
Above.
Oh, above.
Above or upon the stomach. Okay, FB. Like your epidermis is the outer layer of skin. Okay. And then hemi means half. Where have you heard hemi before?
Hemisphere.
Hemisphere, right? Half of the earth. Okay, hemiplegia up here. Hemiplegia would mean what? Half paralysis.
Okay, what'd you say?
So that's exactly the literal meaning. So hemiplegia. If you've ever known anybody who's had a stroke and they've gone paralyzed on one side of their body, like their right arm and right
Oh,
leg.
yeah,
left
I
arm.
know this lady.
Or maybe facial paralysis, that's hemiplegia, is that half paralyzed, like one side of the body.
So what's the difference between paralyzed and paralysis?
It's the same thing.
It
It's the
is?
same word. Yeah, it comes from the same word.
Okay.
Okay? So those are the prefixes. We won't have that one until Friday, but there's just a few
I
of
thought I
them.
was supposed to be going to this whatchamacallit.
Okay? Other than that, you guys can spend the next few minutes working on your projects.
Right, yeah.